Good morning, children. Let's re-begin our lesson, The Enemy from Vistas. We learned that the couple had brought American soldier into their house. They had informed even the servants. Then Yumi was asked to clean the white man, but she refused. The lady of the house, Hannah, thought of cleaning herself. So we were on page number 32. Let's begin this. While she was thinking these thoughts, though not really liking the man better now that he was no longer a child, she kept on washing him until his upper body was quite clean. But she dared not turn him over. Where was Sadao? Now her anger was ebbing. Ebbing means increasing. And she was anxious again. And she rose, wiping her hands on the wrong towel. Sadao, she called softly. He had been about to come in when she called. His hand had been on the door and now he opened it. She saw that he had brought the surgeon's emergency bag and that he wore his surgeon's coat. You have decided to operate? She cried. Yes, he said shortly. He turned his back to her and unfolded a sterilized towel upon the floor of the Tokonoma alcove and put his instruments out upon it. So the surgeon is ready to operate. Fetch towels, he said. She went obediently, but how anxious now, took the linen shawls and took out the towels. There ought also to be old pieces of matting so that the blood would not ruin the fine floor covering. She went out to the back veranda where the gardener kept strips of matting with which to protect delicate shrubs on cold nights and took an armful of them. So she brought the old mats, to cover the beautiful carpet that was there on the floor, because she knew that when operation will be done, then the whole place would become untidy. But when she came back into the room, she saw this was useless. The blood had already soaked through the packing in the man's wound and had ruined the mat under him. Oh, the mat, she cried. Yes, it is ruined, means it is spoiled. Sadao replied, as though he did not care. Help me to turn him, he commanded her. She obeyed him without a word, and he began to wash the man's back carefully. Yumi would not wash him, she said. Did you wash him then? Sadao asked, not stopping for a moment. His swift, concise movements means continuously, skillfully he was operating. Yes, she said. He did not seem to hear her, but she was used to his absorption when he was at work. The wife knew that whenever the surgeon used to work, then he was absorbed in his work and never paid attention on whatever was spoken in the surroundings. She wondered for a moment if it mattered to him what was the body upon which he worked so long, as it was for the work he did so excellently. So he was excellently operating upon the lifeless American Tom. You will have to give anesthetic if he needs it, he said. I? She repeated blankly. But never have I. It is easy enough, he said impatiently. He was taking out the packing now, and the blood began to flow more quickly. He peered into the wound with the bright surgeon's light fastened on his forehead. The bullet is still there, he said with the cool interest. Now I wonder how deep this rock wound is. If it is not too deep, it may be that I can get the bullet. But the bleeding is not superficial. He has lost much blood. So Sadao is talking about the patient's condition. At this moment, Hannah choked. He looked up and saw her face the color of sulfur. Don't faint, he said sharply. He did not put down his exploring instrument. If I stop now, the man will surely die. Now see the dilemma, children. On one side, they wanted him to die, and the other side, Sadao is saying that if he stops operating him, he would die. So he is worried about the man. She clapped her hands to her mouth and leaped up and ran out of the room. Outside the garden, he heard her retching. Retching is vomiting. But he went on with his work. It will be better for her to empty her stomach, he thought. He had forgotten that, of course, she had never seen an operation, but her distress and his ability to go to her at once made him impatient and irritable with this man who lay like dead under his knife. So he became irritated. This man, he thought, there is no reason under heaven why he should live. Why did he get irritated? Because he could not give time or attention to his own wife. And this man who was under his knife, he had nothing to do with this man, but he had to pay attention upon him. Unconsciously, this thought made him ruthless and he proceeded swiftly. In his dream, the man moaned, cried, but Sadao paid no heed except to mutter at him. Groan, he muttered. Groan if you like. Groan means cry. I am not doing this for my own pleasure. In fact, I do not know why I am doing it. The door opened and there was Hannah again. Where is the anesthetic? She asked in a clear voice. Sadao motioned with his chin. It is as well that you came back, he said. This fellow is beginning to stir. So Sadao was happy to see his wife back, and he said that it is good that she came inside because this man had to be given anesthesia because the man was moving, and if the man continues to move, he will not be able to operate upon his body. She had the bottle and some cotton in her hand. But how shall I do it? She asked. Simply saturate the cotton and hold it near his nostrils. Sadao replied without delaying for one moment the intricate detail of his work. When he breathes badly, move it away a little. She crouched close to the sleeping face of the young American. It was a piteously thin face, she thought, and the lips were twisted. The man was suffering, whether he knew it or not. Watching him, she wondered if the stories they heard sometimes of the sufferings of the prisoners were true. They came like flickers of rumor, told by the word of mouth and always contradicted. In the newspapers, the reports were always that wherever the Japanese armies went, the people received them gladly with cries of joy at their liberation. But sometimes she remembered such men as General Takima, who at home beat his wife cruelly, though no one mentioned it. How no one mentioned it now that he had fought so victorious a battle in Manchuria. If a man like that could be so cruel to a woman in his power, would he not be cruel to one like this, for instance? So she gave anesthesia, and when she saw her husband operating upon the man, she looked at the face of the American intently, and she was thinking about the general. Wherever Japanese army went, it was always praised for whatever they did. But this man, the general who beat his wife at home, will he leave this kind of American? He will never spare. So she was thinking that he would be killed by the general if he gets this man as a prisoner. She hoped anxiously that this young man had not been tortured. It was that at this moment that she observed deep red scars on his neck just under the ear. She was hoping this, children, because the young man was too young, and therefore she thought that this man did not appear to be very cruel, or he must have not done so ill for the others that he could be treated or tortured in that manner. But immediately that time, suddenly she saw the scars on the neck of the American. But he did not answer. At this moment, he felt the tip of his instrument strike against something hard, dangerously near the kidney. All thought left him. He felt only the purest pleasure. He was very happy. Why? Because he had got the bullet. He probed with his fingers delicately. Probe means find out. Familiar with every atom of this human body. Each and every part of the body was well learned by Sadao. His old American professor of anatomy had seen to that knowledge. Ignorance of the human body is the surgeon's cardinal censors. He had thundered at his classes year after year. To operate without as complete knowledge of the body as if you had made it anything less than that is a murder. So Sadao still remembers his professor's words who taught him that if you are operating a body, you should know about that body intricately, minutely, as if you yourself have made it. And if you don't have the knowledge of the body and still you operate, then you are committing a murder. It is not quite at the kidney, my friend, Sadao murmured. Now underline this line, children. This is very important. It was his habit to murmur to the patient when he forgot himself in an operation. My friend. He always called his patients, and now he did, forgetting that this was his enemy. So till here, children, we are going to do today, and then next week we are going to follow this lesson.